We are live here on Soulfire. My name is Christopher. I'm the AstroMedium. I'm also your in-house intuitive astrologer as we take a look at the cosmic forecast for the week of February 14th through February 20th. There's a lot of energies that are happening right now. Today is February 11th, and of course, as you all probably know, today is the new moon in Aquarius. It's also the superstellium in Aquarius. We are sitting under a lot of cosmic energy. There's a lot of spikes in the Schumann resonance due to solar energy that's coming to the planet, so there's a lot of ascension symptoms that's happening right now. And tonight we are going to dissect the energies of the upcoming week because we've got some major energies that are coming up next week. This upcoming week is not as busy as it was the past few weeks and the past few months actually. It's a little bit more even, except we've got some major hits happening of some cosmic energies that are very important for the rest of the year. We're going to take a look at the energies day by day, and then we're going to go back and take a look at these energies more in depth so you can understand how to work with them and how best to use these energy for your highest good. So let's start with Sunday, February 14th. Of course, it's Valentine's Day, and February 13th, the day before, Mercury is making a conjunction to Venus. How perfect is that? So we're still going to be sitting in that Mercury conjunct Venus energy, which is going to make us feel more in love with ourselves, more in love with the world. Mercury is how we see things, how we communicate, how we perceive our reality. Venus is, of course, doing things, how we put worth, how we put value on the things that we love and value, and how we show worthiness and devotion to things as well, how we take pleasure in things. So we're sitting in a lot of good energy that day, and then Mercury makes a conjunction to Jupiter exactly on February 14th. Mercury conjunct Jupiter is optimism. This is seeing things from a positive perspective, from a higher perspective. This is the lower mind and the higher mind coming together. So there's a lot of good energy happening that day. The moon will be in Pisces for about half of the day. 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the moon will enter Aries. So we're going to feel an emotional shift from a more dreamy, intuitive, inward nature to a very explosive, forward thinking, and a lot of movement, lots of action there in that moon in Aries. And the moon in Aries is going to make a conjunction to Chiron. Now earlier in the day the moon will make a sextile to Pluto, so there's some emotional empowerment, some emotional depth, and that's really necessary. It's an opportunity. Sextiles are opportunities, so it's not like it's just given to you, but the moon making a sextile to Pluto is necessary to sit under that Mercury conjunct Venus and Mercury conjunct Jupiter energy, because that can take our mind to some really unrealistic, some really bold, very positive, very connecting places, but not so realistic and not so grounded. So we're going to be kind of flighty. We're going to be not overthinking, but thinking positively, maybe a little bit too much sometimes, maybe thinking too big, especially with all these Aquarius energies and all this Uranus energy we're sitting under. We might want to make some decisions that are not so productive in the long term. Okay, so the moon will also be making a conjunction to Chiron that day. So whatever emotions we're sitting in, all the things we're thinking about, we're going to really be focused on our hopes and our dreams and in the future. Because Mercury, of course, is retrograde, but he's in Aquarius still. The moon making a conjunction to Chiron is so important because it allows us the opportunity to witness some things that come up for us in a very powerful and positive way. So let's move to Monday, February 15th. The moon will be in Aries still for the entire day, making a sextile to Saturn. This is a moon-ruled day, and what I mean by that is there are no major planetary aspects taking place this day. This means that the moon is very busy, and this is a sextile day. The moon is going to make 4 sextiles. The first one will be to Saturn. Moon in Aries making a sextile to Saturn, well, that's some interesting energy there. And again, sextiles are potentials. They're not just given to you like a trine, but they are positive and they are supportive. The moon will also be making a sextile to Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus. So there's some emotional connection, feeling, especially right out of that Mercury conjunct Venus and conjunct Jupiter energy, we're going to be feeling more positive, more in alignment, feeling more connected to our surroundings, and feeling a little bit more at peace. And this is going to be really good because we're building up some really turbulent energies later in the week. Now let's go to Tuesday. This is where the clouds start rolling in. The moon will be in Aries for pretty much, again, the whole day. So we're going to have 2 days pretty much where the moon will be in Aries. The moon will enter Taurus at 10:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe, that day. So again, the entire day is really filled with this Aries moon energy. We'll get a little bit of a break later on, but again, for someone in the Eastern time zone like myself, that is not a lot of time. So full Aries moon that day. Well, the moon is not full, don't get me wrong, but a full day full of the Aries moon, and the moon will be making a square to Pluto. That's intense. That's hard. That's a lot of emotional, extreme emotions coming to the surface. The emotions are very deep. We are more sensitive, more reactive in that way. The moon will be making a sextile to the sun, but that is not going to cancel out that moon square Pluto energy, and that is really going to set the tone for the next days ahead. So let's move to Wednesday, February 16th. The moon will be in Taurus making a square to Saturn. This is important because is this the 16th? Jesus Christ. I'll get it right. February 17th, and this is the day, okay? The moon is very active that day, and the moon will be making a square to Saturn, making a square to Mercury, making a conjunction to Uranus. So what does this mean? So we've got these squares that are challenging us. There's some isolation. There's some feeling of responsibilities are too much. There's some confusion. There's some misunderstandings that are happening. Mercury is still retrograde, and the moon is making a tense square. So we might have some conflicts that come up, and the moon is sitting right on top and joining forces with Uranus. So there's some wanting to break free of something, maybe some boredom coming to the surface, but this is agitation. This is agitating us in some way. The most important energy this day, and one of the most important energies of the entire year, Saturn in Aquarius making an exact square, a 90-degree angle to Uranus in Taurus. This is the energy. This is what we've been waiting for this year. So in 2020, shit. I'll go back and I'll tell you all about more of these energies more in depth later. Let's move on to Thursday. Thursday, the moon will be in Taurus for the entire day. So we're going to have another Taurus moon day. This is also going to be a very important day as the sun enters Pisces, okay? So what's really interesting about that day, and I'll go more in depth later, but the moon in Taurus will make a sextile to Neptune, and Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. So it's very interesting that we've got this moon making a supportive sextile to Neptune on the day that the sun exits Aquarius, ending this, which is the beginning of the end of this super stellium era that we were just in, which hasn't happened since February 1962. And then the sun is going to move into emotional, sensitive, ungrounded, and very inspired and creative Pisces. The moon will also be making a square to Jupiter and Venus and will be conjunct Mars. Whoa, so the storm is not letting up. The storm is actually it's probably going to be hailing that day astrologically. We're going to feel a little bit pessimistic. We're going to feel a little bit disconnected and very reactive and quick to anger and frustration. Now, let's move to Friday. Friday, we're going to lighten the energies a little bit. It's still going to be raining, but it won't be storming. The moon will be in Taurus for most of the morning, and then at 11:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the moon will enter Gemini. Well, this is going to shake some shit up. We all love moon and Gemini, right? Not necessarily. Moon and Gemini can be very ungrounded, and Gemini is not an emotional sign. So the moon being in Gemini can stimulate some anxiety and some worry if we're not careful, especially because the moon will be at the halfway point between the new moon and the full moon, making a square to the sun, and Venus will be making a square to Mars. Ooh, now Venus square Mars is not a long transit. We're only going to feel this for a few days at the most, but it will peak on Friday. This energy is exciting. Now, squares can be hard and tense, and this comes with its challenges, especially if you're in a relationship that's already rocky or that may have its challenges already. But Venus square Mars can make you want to fuck something good. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. It's so passionate. There's so much creativity that can come from that as well. I mean, if you want to, but you can also make some music, some art, and some really passionate and fun times with your friends and your loved ones as well. So squares are not always bad. They're never bad. They're not always as challenging as others, okay? We're still going to be sitting in that Saturn square Uranus energy. We've been sitting in it since the very beginning of the year. I'll go into more depth about that. I can't wait, but I'll go into more depth about that here in a little bit. Also on Friday, the moon will be making a trine to Pluto. That is going to be really important because that will bring some emotional empowerment and some desires for intimacy. So while we've got this Venus square Mars energy at play, it's important that the moon is making that trine to Pluto because it gives us an opportunity to take that passion and really get intimate with it. Now, we are going to move to Saturday, February 20th. We're going to finish off the week strong and powerful and positive. Now, there are no major planetary aspects happening that day. It is a moon-ruled day, but the moon is making a bunch of trines and a conjunction to the North Node. So the moon will be in Gemini, conjunct the North Node, and the North Node is still retrograde. But the moon conjunct the North Node is going to make us feel more in alignment. We're going to feel a little bit more of a peace, like where we are supposed to be, especially if you pull in that energy because you've got some natal placements that are stimulating that as well. And if you don't know what I'm talking about right now, you either need to book a reading with me or you need to follow me on Instagram at the.astromedium so you can learn more about astrology. I teach astrology classes every Wednesday night at Eclipse over Roswell here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'll give you some more information about that before we get off of here. But the moon is making a trine to Saturn, Mercury, and Jupiter that day. Trines are very powerful. They're positive. It's a 120-degree angle. It's twice the size, you could say, of a sextile, and it kind of falls in your lap if you want to, if you will. So we're going to be sitting in a lot of positive energy, positive mood. Mercury is in the mix as well. So in the moon making a trine there, that is allowing this Mercury retrograde because I think Mercury exits retrograde on the 20th as well. So if I'm not mistaken. So as Mercury is getting ready to exit retrograde at that point and enter retro shade, we are given a chance to emotionally resolve any issues that may have come up during this retrograde, okay? So now let's go back into the energies more in depth and dissect some of this. Now, a lot of you are experiencing a lot of ascension symptoms right now. And what do I mean by that? The process of ascension is where our souls as a collective and individually, depending on where you are in this process, if we think about it from a linear perspective, we are taking conscious evolutionary leaps and bounds and jumps, okay? We are moving up in frequency. The planet is also moving up in frequency. When you hear me talk about the Schumann resonance and solar flares, don't check out, don't close your ears, don't turn the video off. This is important, okay? You all listen to the weather, you all can listen to this, okay? You all sat in that math class for all those years, you can hear me out. The Schumann resonance is the vibration of the planet. It's the tone, it's the energy that the planet emits. And the Schumann resonance, for as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I'm aware, emitted a frequency between 7 and 13 hertz, which resonates with our alpha brainwave frequencies. And here in the past several years, especially after 2012, this frequency has been increasing and spiking, and we've been experiencing a lot of spikes of this energy. So, and from what I understand, the more solar activity, so solar storms, solar flares that are coming onto the planet, this light plasma enters our atmosphere and it also causes a DNA upgrade as we experience this as well. You are here on the planet, you are not going to be affected by solar flares and of course sun rays. You're not just going to get a tan, but those light plasma that is coronal mass ejections is what I think it's called. When these storms eject this plasma at the planet, this will cause an upgrade to our systems. If you don't know what I'm talking about, do some more research. But if you're spiritual, if you're experiencing a lot of symptoms right now, head pressure, throat tightness, digestive issues coming out of nowhere, feeling really tired and then can't go to sleep at night, and not just because of usual stress, but experiencing lots of twitches and spasms in the body, body heat, sudden cold and flu symptoms that come and go, and this isn't like you. This isn't something you've ever experienced before. Twitching inside of the ears, there's so much. There's teeth and jaw pain that's happening right now as the third eye and the crown chakras are opening, heart palpitations, pressure and heat and burning sensations in the chest. There's a lot of really odd, really sometimes scary symptoms like anxiety, sudden depression that comes out of nowhere as our body is purging emotions and clearing out all of these densities. There is the Schumann resonance and the solar flares have something to do with that, okay? Our solar system, our part of the galaxy, is going through a very highly charged particle environment that it has not been through before, and this is part of the evolution of us, our solar system, and I guess all that is, if you really want to look at it that way. So, with all that being said, we also have 6 planets and 1 asteroid palace, today in Aquarius. This hasn't happened since February 1962. This is very highly charged energy. That is known as an assembly. These planets have come together to sing one song, if you will, all from the perspective of Aquarius. And what does Aquarius represent? This is the energy of the future. This is the energy of technology. Uranus rules Aquarius. Uranus is the planet that lays on its side and spins in the opposite direction. He's weird, he's different, he's rebellious, he wants to do things differently. You'll hear me talk about the planets as if they're people, and that just helps us understand more to personify them. The ancient people did that. I want you to understand there's a very scientific thing happening here. There's an energy, there's a frequency that is being emitted through us and through our chakras and through our mental and emotional bodies down to the physical body that is causing a lot of stress to the system right now. A lot of worry, anxiety, sleeplessness, especially with this new moon. Lots of fatigue. You can't tell it, but I've been very fatigued. And as well, as Saturn is making his sextile to Chiron. So with all this energy, ascension energies, astrological energies, and all of it's connected, we need to prepare our bodies, we need to honor our sensitivities, and we need to be proactive about our healing. Saturn is making a sextile to Chiron all year, and I'm going to go into more depth about that when I talk about Saturn's square to Uranus. Now, okay, Renita says, I had no idea that solar flares upgraded our DNA. Listening to this makes me want to pull out my astronomy book. Thank you. Yes, girl, pull out that book. The solar flare activity and the ascension energies, it's very interesting. If you want to know more information, you can research that. You can also follow me on Instagram at the.astromedium. I post a lot of ascension updates, energy updates. I go into a lot of depth about some of the ascension symptoms that are happening, why they may be happening to you, what's the modus operandi, or what the process is actually, because it's hard to understand how all this is actually happening. It seems so science fiction. It seems like bullshit when you haven't had your own experience and when you haven't experienced it the way I have and when you haven't done the research. It can just seem like a bunch of shit people are making up on Instagram and on the internet. I get that. So it's very important to do your own research, and I highly recommend that you do. We are made of light plasma. You are vibrating light particles. So when the sun, which we are made of the sun's energy, which is why it is so good for us in many ways, okay? Except for someone like me, I gotta be careful with my sunscreen. But the sun is so powerful, and it represents in astrology the central consciousness. It is the central consciousness of the solar system. So thus we represent the whole of the solar system as well, from the microcosm to the macrocosm. So it's important to understand as above and so as above, so below, so you understand how you play. You're that particle, that one pixel of the trillions that make up the whole picture, okay? So it makes sense from that perspective, but sometimes you might need a little bit more information. Go get that. So Sunday, we're going to be sitting in Mercury conjunct Jupiter energy. A conjunction is where two planets are infusing their energies. They're in the same degree point of the zodiac. They're joining forces. Mercury is the lower mind. What I mean by that is Mercury is analysis, data, perceiving, pulling in information, having an opinion of it of sorts, but almost just the information coming in, communicating that information traveling. He rules Gemini and Virgo, the two most analytical and detail-oriented sign, okay? So it's all about the details, zooming in on the smallest particle and getting to know the real nitty-gritty minutia. Jupiter is different. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and he rules the higher mind. Jupiter is all about expansion. He wants you to grow. He wants to expand your mind. He wants you to see it from a higher perspective and give it meaning. Okay? We can see something, we can perceive it, but let's zoom out to the bigger picture. What does all this mean? What's it all adding up to? That's Jupiter. So when you combine Mercury and Jupiter energy like that, we are infusing that. Everything that we witness, see, communicate, hear, learn has a higher meaning and has some type of greater meaning toward our future. And I say the future not necessarily because of Jupiter, although he can represent our hopes and dreams. Mercury is retrograde in Aquarius at that time. Okay, and Mercury's already made a conjunction to Jupiter here in the past couple of months, so we've already experienced this energy recently, semi-recently, but this is really positive. Jupiter is optimism, benevolence. He is all about opportunity, bringing you people. So with this Mercury conjunct Jupiter energy, you want to see, I wonder what kind of people are coming into my life right now, what kind of things I'm learning. Why am I suddenly interested in this? You'll find yourself suddenly interested in learning more about something or taking your knowledge to the next level. Now, this is going to build, and we're going to feel this energy just for a few days. So you want to take advantage of that if it doesn't automatically pull in. And what I mean by that is sometimes you have things in your chart that will pull these energies in more. Okay? So, for instance, if you were to have Mercury opposite Jupiter in your natal chart, Mercury making a conjunction to Jupiter, you're going to feel that even more than someone who doesn't have any Mercury Jupiter aspects in their chart because you already have that energy signature built into you. Okay? Now, I'm going to save Saturn square Uranus for last because it's the largest energy and the most exciting energy that I want to talk about. But the Sun enters Pisces on Thursday, February 18th, okay? And this is really a beginning point, and this is going to have a larger arc and theme as well, because Jupiter is going to go into Pisces at some point before he goes retrograde and joins Saturn again in Aquarius, and we are going to get a lot of Pisces energy coming up here before in the spring. And so this is leading the way there. And what does that mean? So Aquarius is the 11th sign of the zodiac, and it's all about humanity as a whole, communities, friend groups, technology. What's best for the whole? How can we move humanity and our whole collective to a brighter, more inclusive, and equal future? It's all about what's next. How can we change this for the better? Pisces is very different energy. Aquarius is scientific, and we know that science is it's not very tangible. It's new. It's always groundbreaking. It's something that we're discovering. So Aquarius is very groundbreaking in that way. But Pisces is very hard to understand. Pisces takes energy to the next level. Pisces rules the 12th house, the house of endings, transcendence, spirituality. Pisces is ruled by Neptune. And it's beautiful because on the day that the Sun enters Pisces, we get a supportive sextile from the Moon in Taurus to Neptune. Neptune is being the ruler of Pisces. Neptune is the planet of illusion, fantasy, dreams, and there's a transcendent quality. How can you take what's happening here and move it with your imagination into something that has never been, okay? So these energies are all about progressing in a linear direction before we start the cycle all over again with Aries in the first house. So Aquarius, being ruled by Uranus, the great awakener, is about awakening you to a new possibility. And then Pisces energy is about using your imagination to take the energy from the non-physical realms, imagine it with such intensity that you almost make it real, like an illusion, like you feel like your dreams are real. And that is where true manifestation can begin. Okay? So the Sun entering Pisces is going to be an ending of this Aquarius energy that we have felt really strong in the first part of this year. Uranus is one of the key players this year, and he's the ruler of Aquarius. But this stellium that just happened, very unique. It has not, unique is the perfect word to use with Aquarius energy, but that has not happened since February 1962. So imagine the 1960s. When I say the 1960s, what do you think of? Exactly. So we are going to see a resurgence of this rebellion. Not necessarily people being hippies and smoking reefer, okay? Although we've already seen that going on in a recent... Look at me. I'm sitting here. People are out here smoking weed. It's no problem. We're selling it everywhere. It's going to become legal at some point. I'm on here talking about astrology. And the 1960s was all these people... Sexual revolution. I'm not wearing a bra. I want equal pay. Civil rights. I mean, we are experiencing the next level of that. These cycles repeat. And this is all astrologically based from my perspective. So the Sun entering Pisces is going to neutralize this Aquarius energy and move us in a more spiritual direction and in a direction that allows us to escape a lot of what's going on right now as well. Be careful how you escape. Okay? Your escape route can either kill you or it can enliven you and it can give you a reprieve from all the density that's going on right now, all of the heaviness and all of the chaos. All this Aquarius energy, Uranus is like a lightning and electricity. It can zap you. It's awakening. It makes your hair stand up on end, but it's chaotic. You don't know when it's going to strike, and that can cause a lot of uncertainty, instability, and anxiety, frankly. So Sun entering Pisces is really a really, I want to say it's the perfect timing. Well, yep. Go source energy, go God. You really did the thing, right? When the sun enters Pisces, we're going to move in a new direction. There's going to be a next chapter of this year that's going to take place. Now, Venus square Mars, I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, although it is exciting. And if you're trying to revamp your relationship, or you're trying to, if you've thought to yourself, man, I haven't had some good sex in a while, wait till the end of next week. The energy will be, the fruit will be ripe for the picking, okay? And I'm going to let you do all that. So, let's talk about this major energy, and I'm going to spend some time on this. Saturn square Uranus. So, first of all, a square is a 90-degree angle, and these are normally tense, challenging, conflicting. It's where the two energies are trying to dominate each other, okay? Saturn is trying to get Uranus to think like him. And Uranus is trying to get Saturn to think like him. And this isn't going to go very well, okay? Saturn is the planet of restriction, limitation, structure, order. Saturn is also the lord of karma. This is the energy of cause and effect. Saturn rewards you for your hard work. Saturn rules Capricorn. This is energy that is resilient and focused on the long term. Not focused on the future, focused on now and how it could play out in the long term. Saturn also represents a father figure. It is a very disciplinarian energy. It wants you to structure your life, it wants you to think ahead, and it wants you to do the right thing and the responsible thing. Saturn is all about you taking responsibility for your life and being the adult and driving your ship in the direction that serves you in the long term. Now, and Saturn also rules the old ways, okay? Old ways, old structured ways. Not necessarily the past, but things that we've already done that are tried and true that work. Saturn likes to conserve things. Saturn likes to bring things to the chopping block. That's not working anymore, but this is working. How can we make it more efficient? Okay? He'll agree with that. Now, Uranus, this is totally different energy. Now, in the solar system, we like to think that Uranus is next, but really, in my astrology, Chiron is next. Chiron is an asteroid in between the orbit of Saturn and Uranus, and he's the wounded healer. So, before you can get to the new, innovative Uranus energies, you have to heal yourself. You have to transmute that pain into power, and Chiron is one of the key players this year as well underneath this energy. And I'll go into more depth about that. Now, Uranus is the future. It's that technological energy. Uranus is kind of the science planet, okay? It's anything that we're moving forward, rebelling against the old ways to cause something new to happen, okay? Uranus energy can make you feel real agitated, but real excited as well, wanting something new, getting bored with something and wanting to break free. Uranus awakens you. Uranus also rules Kundalini energy. Okay? So we may feel and may experience an even greater awakening than we already have in the past 8 years because Uranus is such a key player. And with Saturn trying to restrict you and Uranus trying to break Saturn free of all his bullshit, there's in there, like entropy in physics. It's that agitation, that push and pull that's going to cause this implosion and explosion to happen, which is going to give birth to something that we've never seen before. But here's the way this energy is going to play out. Saturn, when you've got these outer planets at play with each other, they do cause effects within all of us individually. But because they are such broader energies, And Uranus being a transpersonal energy, he takes our consciousness to another level, okay? And Saturn really ruling all the structures in our world, laws, corporations, government, all that sort of thing, all those Capricorn themes. These energies pushing against each other, is we're going to see this play out in the collective big time. Now in 2020, we experienced conjunct Pluto, Jupiter conjunct Pluto, and Jupiter conjunct Saturn. So these outer planets, these larger energies, having conversations back to back like that in the year 2020 and having multiple hits. And I'll explain more about what a multiple hit is in a minute. That's going to cause a mass, well, it was chaotic, but a mass collective energy shift. Okay? And that's what Saturn square Uranus is all about as well. This is structural change, if you will. So Uranus is in Taurus right now, and the last time Uranus was in Taurus was during the Great Depression. So are you keeping up with me? We're seeing some similarities go on in the last few years since he's been in Taurus. Uranus comes through a sign and he revolutionizes the energy of that sign. And Taurus is all about our basic needs, shelter, food, all that kind of stuff, stability, feeling stable, and just having the basic needs as a human being. And all of that is being revolutionized. Uranus comes in and he shakes shit up and he zaps it and he electrocutes it and he gets it to move into a new direction. But during that, there can be kind of a phase of decay in the process. But that's very fast, Uranus energy. So you're going to see this energy unexpectedly come on suddenly, abruptly, and that can cause a lot of chaos because we as a species like to know when something's coming and when to expect it. And so in the collective, with Saturn in the mix now, Saturn is going to try to conserve a lot of the old, in my opinion, outdated energies that may be playing out on the planet still. And Uranus is going to want to break free of all of that, bring in all of this new stuff. So what's going to happen is we're going to experience a lot of energies coming in that are new. Ideas, new forms, new scientific breakthroughs. This has already happened because Jupiter on January 17th made a square to Uranus as well. And Jupiter-Uranus energies were always active during monumental moments in Black history, like Barack Obama's election as the first Black president of the United States, the Nat Turner Rebellion, the Emancipation Proclamation, the beginning of the Civil Rights Movement in 1954. And Jupiter-Uranus energies were also active during the discovery of the Higgs boson particle, which is the God particle, the cloning of the first sheep in 1997, the unveiling of the first electric car. All of these were being revealed to our world as some new possibility, as some new direction we could go during Jupiter-Uranus energies. Because Jupiter expands and makes everything bigger, even in a square like that. Now we've got Saturn in the mix. So we're going to see kind of a stifling of this energy, but this is okay. What Saturn does is say, let's deliberate more. Let's look at what's already working, because Uranus is going to open the floodgates. Here's all these new technologies, new scientific breakthroughs, new ways of working with things, new ways of congregating and communicating with each other, new ways of existing with each other that are more equal. And Saturn's going to try to hold that back. And that sounds like an asshole move, but Saturn's going to say, hold up. We can only handle so much. Things can't move that quickly. So Saturn's actually going to deliberate. And he's going to say, okay, this is going to work in the long term. That may not be something we're ready for right now. So this is a good thing, but we're going to see this play out in the collective, in our government, in our communities especially. We're going to see this play out within large groups of people and on the world stage. We started to feel the Saturn square Uranus energies become available to us the very beginning of the year on December 31st, 2020. That's when that energy really started to blossom and build and become available to us. And then on February 17th, it will peak. But it will peak 3 times this year. On June 14th, because Uranus's retrogrades, they're going to square and they're going to move out, start to move out of that square, and then the retrograde will happen, which will move them back into a square. Okay, then they're going to move away from each other again, and then they're going to go direct, and then they're going to move past each other again. So we are going to experience 3 major hits of Saturn square Uranus energies February 17th, June 14th, and December 24th, I believe. That is the main theme of this year. So what that tells me is although this energy will peak 3 times, the song will never stop playing. Okay? And this will cause a lot of chaos and structural reform. Okay? There's a lot of governmental changes, changes to our monetary system that's going to happen. And with Uranus in the mix, how are we going to make this more technological and more available to the whole collective? This is exciting, but it's going to come with a lot of resistance, okay? Especially from the government and the top 1% and all those billionaires, okay? And good. Let's see those motherfuckers squirm, right? So, although they have their place and they belong right now, okay, that's what's keeping everything in order, that's what's going to cause these slow tick, 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 these slow changes that are going to happen, all right? Now, underneath all this chaos that's going to play out this year, you really want to look at where you have Aquarius in your chart and where you have Taurus in your chart, okay? Aquarius is the ruler of my 7th house. So I have and pretty much the main ruler of my 7th house, Capricorn a little bit because I go by the Placidus house system. I have this epic superstellium in Aquarius piled up in my 7th house. And the 7th house is relationships, partnerships, contracts, marriages, okay? So yes, Venus is there, Mercury's there. I'm definitely thinking about my relationships. I'm definitely feeling like I want one, which isn't normal because Aquarius rules my 7th house, okay? So I like my freedom, my independence, and I want to do things differently, and I want relationships to be unconventional, non-conformative, okay? But Saturn is also there and Jupiter. So I'm attracting more people, but I'm also losing some people as well. So Saturn is bringing a lot of my relationships to the chopping block. How do you feel about this now? Is this working for you in the long term? Does this represent who you are becoming? That's happening for me. I'm seeing that play out very much so. And those are things I don't even really think about in the moment. I'll usually look at my chart later and go, oh my God, that is what's happening. But there are instances where that's taking place. So you want to look at where you have Aquarius and Taurus in your chart because this Saturn square Uranus energy, especially at between about 4 degrees of Taurus and 10 degrees of Taurus and Aquarius, around there. If you have any planets in those signs and in those degrees, you're going to get heavily activated this day or in this year, especially if you also have Scorpio and Leo in those degrees as well. I have Moon, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter all in Leo in the 1st house, 6 degrees. My Moon is at 6 degrees, so this Saturn square Uranus energy is going to activate me in some kind of way as well. I'm also going through my Saturn return now, so literally 3 days ago it went 0 degrees, so I'm experiencing a lot of shifts and changes and sudden impulses to create these changes, but this ever looming Saturn energy over me saying, are you ready to do it now, or can we wait and be patient and lay a more firm and stable foundation for your future? Okay, so you want to look at that, see how this is playing out for you. But another energy you want to look at is underneath all the chaos that will ensue this year, there will be 3 hits of Saturn making a supportive sextile to Chiron. Chiron being the wounded healer. What does that tell me? Jupiter's already made his sextile to Chiron. We've got all these all making a sextile to Chiron. So this is a very healing time. We're coming to terms with more ways to heal, but also more things about us that we can heal, which doesn't feel very good sometimes. But it's giving you a chance to really look at your pain, look at your trauma, and look at your insecurities and those things that you call weaknesses, and give you that opportunity to do something new, reframe your perspective on it, make peace with it, heal it once and for all. Now Saturn is going to make this sextile with Chiron 3 times because that's going to be an energy that also those two are going to move apart, and then Saturn's retrograde will pull him back. And underneath those 3 hits of Saturn square Uranus, we've got Saturn's supportive sextile to Chiron, which is us as a collective becoming more diligent, more disciplined, and more responsible for our healing, saying, I will go to those therapy appointments now. I will do that plant medicine retreat. I will put in the work. I will post post-it notes all over my mirrors with affirmations and actually do the work. Okay? Saturn is all about you doing the work, and Chiron truly is. If you follow the holistic psychologist on Instagram, she's amazing. She's all about doing the work. That's Saturn sextile Chiron. But a sextile is an opportunity and a potential. It is not automatically activated. You must initiate, and then you will receive the benefits of that. And what that also tells me is Saturn being the rewarder. He will reward you for your hard work with massive amounts of real, physical, tangible healing that you can see playing out in your life in real, meaningful ways. Okay? So, if you would like to book a reading with me, I am a psychic medium and intuitive astrologer. You can go to my website at www.christopherwithayMedium.com. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram and TikTok, you absolutely should at the.astromedium, the.astromedium. I'm also the in-house intuitive astrologer for Eclipse over Roswell here in Atlanta, Georgia, and we do weekly astrology classes open to the public. It's $10, and you can join me on Zoom if you're not in the Atlanta metro area. So if you're new to astrology, you want to take your astrological knowledge to the next level, there's a class available to you, and we will be starting 6-week courses here soon. So if you'd like to reach me or my Instagram, it doesn't matter. I am here if you have questions about astrology. And again, if you'd like a reading with me, book with me. Even if you don't want anything to do with your chart. Some people come to me and they have no interest in astrology. I will still use it to give you some guidance and some direction, but I am intuitive. I receive from your loved ones, from your guides. I get lots of information for you, and it's important because a lot of my readings I've been finding right now have been giving my, without me even really realizing it until the end, is a direction and kind of a hint and a key of where to start on your healing process. So a lot of you are feeling lost, a lot of you are feeling directionless, and a lot of you are feeling hopeless at that time as well, and sitting in a lot of pain because a lot of things came up for you in the past few years, especially because a lot of you are going through an ascension and awakening process. I can guide you through that. Okay? So again, thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I will see you all next week here on Soulfire for another weekly cosmic forecast. Thank you all and have a wonderful night.